Hey guys, it's Oz, and today we're going on a journey through every single job I've had from since I was 10 till now. And trust me, it's been a wild ride, from bad bosses, free candy, weird happenings, and even pooping. Yeah, we're going there. Also, make sure you stay till the end, because I'm also going to be sharing a little hint with you about what's coming in my future. So before I start that list, let me kick it off with a shout out to all the jobs that I tried to apply to and I didn't get. I applied to fun places like Canada's Wonderland, which is an amusement park, Center Island, which is kind of like a nice island kind of amusement park kind of place, like a park, and also Chuck E. Cheese, which most of you probably know, it's like a game center for kids. They all rejected me. I also tried applying to different kinds of movie theaters. I also didn't get those jobs. After returning from Japan, I tried to be a Japanese English school coordinator here in Toronto, and I also tried to work for a marketing company for Japan and Canada, and both of those I was rejected as well. And when I was at my lowest point and I applied to McDonald's and Taco Bell, I was also rejected by those. But who knows, maybe I dodged a bullet with all of that. So let's start with some of the ones that have the lowest ratings. So I think this was probably the worst job ever for me. I think I found this when I was in junior high school. It was like a little ad in a paper. So I went to this office. Within 10 minutes, they sat me down. They gave me a phone book and a telephone and a quick 10-minute orientation. That's it. That's all I got. They basically gave me a pamphlet about the carpet cleaning with some prices and some estimates. They gave me a telephone book and said, yeah, just choose a number and start cold calling. And then I spent the next 4 hours just calling random numbers. I'm asking people if they wanted to have their carpets cleaned. And I didn't know anything about carpet cleaning. I didn't know anything about the company. And any question they had, pretty much I just had to pretend and make up. At the end of the shift, I was told to never come back. And that was it. 1 star, 1 day. The Toronto Sun is a popular newspaper. It used to be really famous because on the second page it had I think it had a girl in a bikini, I guess sunshine model, I think that was what it's called. I did this job when I was actually in elementary school. I think I was in grade 5 or 6. I did it for actually 2 or 3 years, and it was just a job on Sundays. Every morning around 6 a.m. I'd have to wake up and I'd have to deliver newspapers to the neighboring streets around my area. And then I'd spend a couple of days a week in the weekdays trying to go out door to door and trying to collect the money, because the way it worked is the truck delivery would deliver newspapers every Sunday. I would send them every Sunday, and at the end of the month I'd have to pay that truck driver money for how many newspapers I delivered. However, until I collected the money from the actual people, I wouldn't be able to get a cut. So pretty much, if the people never paid me, or if they were never home, or I wasn't able to collect money from them, it would come out of my own pocket. So it was kind of a sketchy job, even though it's such a famous newspaper. I'm giving it 2 stars because even though I probably got paid less than minimum wage after all the people who would not pay me for the newspapers, my dad was nice enough to drive me on rainy days and snowy days. Another job that I think I would rate really low was actually something I did recently. It's when I moved back to moved back to Canada my second time. I was hired as a call center agent for Verizon, and it was for US residents because there's no Verizon in Canada. It was minimum wage. The training was pretty bad. I think the worst part of the training was actually the people being trained. The trainers were nice, but everyone seemed like useless trash, and I was grouped into those people, so I didn't feel really good. There was no order. It was very chaotic, and yeah, I would say the support was not very good, and I lasted about 4 months before I was lucky to get another offer. So I got out as quick as I could, and so I give that one maybe 2, maybe 3 stars. First job I ever had, it was when I was 10 years old. I found a job where I deliver flyers. They were the kind of junk mail that most people throw away with the Walmart and the grocery stores and all that kind of stuff. And my job was to carry around a big cart and just go door to door and stuffing them into mailboxes. This is the story where the poop I was telling you comes about. One day when it was really rainy, I forgot my key for my house. So my parents were out. They were like grocery shopping or something. I was alone. I had done, I believe, like half the amount of flyers, and everything was soaking wet, and the rain had just like ruined half of them anyway. So I just dumped the other half in a garbage can. And I really had to go number 2. And I couldn't find anywhere in my neighborhood where I could go, so I just went in my pants. Yeah, that was not a good day. But despite that, this job was still better than Toronto Sun newspaper because it actually paid me, so I'm gonna give it 3 stars. I think I've had a lot of sketchy jobs, especially when I was younger. So when I was in probably maybe junior high school or maybe just early high school, I worked for a company called Youth Against Drugs. It was just a white van, or a bus I guess. It was actually a school bus painted white, and it sat in a gas station at a street corner, and a whole bunch of kids, I guess we were the youth against these drugs, we would meet and get into the van with some strange weirdo mustache guy, and he would drive us around to random places, random neighborhoods, and he'd each give us a box, and in the box there was 40 boxes of chocolate almonds, and our job was to go on that street. He'd drop us there and come back 4 hours later, and in 4 hours we had to walk around and try to sell those chocolate almonds. We would charge $4, and then for every box of chocolates we sold, we would get to keep $1. So if I sold out the entire box, I'd make $40. And I was actually pretty good. I was good at selling because I looked like a youth against drugs. I was nice and friendly, and people really wanted chocolate almonds, so they would pay me the $4 and I'd get 1 out of 4. So it was a pretty sweet gig. It was a very sketchy job, but I quite enjoyed it, so I'm gonna give it 4 stars. Another job that I'm gonna give 4 stars, only because I was expecting it to be something different, but it wasn't, was a marketing company I used to work at in Toronto. I don't know if it still exists, so I better not say the name. It was right after I graduated university, and I was graduating with like a public relations and kind of marketing kind of degree, so I thought it'd be perfect to work in an advertising agency. But basically I was a glorified secretary slash janitor. My job was watering the plants, making coffee, taking out the garbage, vacuuming, I guess cleaning up the closets, and sometimes I would do like answering the phones and that kind of stuff, but maybe checking the mail or sorting the mail, that kind of stuff. But yeah, it wasn't that the job was so bad, but it was the boss there. She was a super giant bee, and she was not friendly at all. She thought she was friendly, and we had to pretend that she was nice, but everybody knew that she wasn't. That was the job I did, the first office job I did, and I'm gonna give that a 4. And then a lot of the jobs that were like phone center work were a lot of like mid-average jobs. So not including the carpet cleaning one. One of the jobs that I would give a decent rate, I would give a decent 6 stars, is something called Service Master Lawn Care. It was, I don't know if that exists either, but my job was very simple. I didn't have to know anything about lawn care, or I didn't have to do any kind of sales. I was kind of like a lead person, so I would just call somebody, like once again they would give us a page out of the phone book, and we'd have to call in order all the numbers, and we just have to ask them if it was okay to send like a free package to them about lawn care. It's like a quote, and then another person who's a salesperson would follow up later. So for me, it was very simple. I just had a quota of getting so many amount of people to say yes to have them something sent to them, and the money was pretty good too, so I would give it a 6. Right after that, I went to another call center. It was a survey call center. I don't even know what the company is called anymore, but they actually had computers, and it wasn't just phone books. They actually had a list or whatever of a group of people to call, and then we'd call that number, and it would be surveys, and sometimes the surveys could be up to 30 to 45 minutes. The weird thing is, like, we got paid to do the surveys, but the people we called, they didn't get anything. They would just stay on the phone for half an hour, 45 minutes, sometimes an hour, answering questions as like tedious as like, from 1 to 5, what did you think about the color of the Gap shorts you bought? From 1 to 5, what did you think about the length of the shorts you bought? Like that kind of stuff. And they would answer it. And some of them would get angry, but surprising, a lot of them were okay to answer, stay on the phone for an hour. And I didn't have to do any sales. So I would say 6 stars for that. Getting away from call centers, when I came back to Canada the first time after living in Japan, I was lucky that my friend hooked me up with a job with Rogers TV, with City TV. It was called traffic consultant. So I thought I was going to work for like the traffic news or something, but it was actually data entry. Basically what I was doing was I was placing advertising into the scheduling in the show. So between shows, all those commercials you see, my job was just to choose a commercial and put it in there. So pretty much coding the number of the advertiser into the schedule. I didn't have to talk to anyone, which is good. I had my headphones on the whole time, and I had 2 screens, one's inputting the commercials, the other one watching YouTube. So it was a very easy job. Pay was decent because it was like a big company. So I'm gonna give that also a 6 stars, because it was decent, but it was just very boring. Then I had a sweet job. Literally, it was called Sugar Mountain. It was my first retail job. I'd worked at phone centers and offices and stuff like that, but I never worked in an actual like shop. So this was a shop in downtown Toronto. So I mostly spent the time by myself. I did the register. I refilled the candies. I made cotton candy, stuff like that. It was pretty laid back. It was chill. Everybody who visited the store was like cool. They just wanted to come and have some candy. It was attached to a movie theater, so they would just grab their candy and go to the movie. So it was a pretty decent gig. And then the best part about it, I guess, was that it was free samples all the time. So yeah, it was pretty sweet until I got diabetes. But it was a good store, it was a good shop, manager was cool. I'm gonna give it 7 stars. Another 7-star job, and it was actually the same time as while I was doing that Sugar Mountain job, was working at the Crown Plaza. It's a hotel. It was not the downtown one, it was the one that was uptown, and I used to be a bellboy / concierge there. My job was pretty much taking luggage to different people's rooms and sometimes setting up different tours and stuff. So like concierge job. It was like a fun job. It was good because I met a whole bunch of people. The staff were really nice. Overall, it was a good atmosphere. It was nice, and I got a lot of tips. It wasn't perfect because I did have to wake up for shifts. Sometimes I wake up as early as 4 a.m. So it wasn't the best job, but it was still fun. So I'd give it 7 stars. Most of the jobs in Japan I had were pretty good. So one of the jobs I worked at was when I was a traveling kindergarten teacher the first time when I was in Nagoya. And I'd give that 7 stars only because it was very autonomous. I didn't really have to be around a lot of people like with supervisors and managers. There was not a lot of micromanaging. I basically went from classroom to classroom, had very short classes, like 15 to 20 minutes, play some games, run around, sing a song, show some flashcards, and that's it. And it was a lot of traveling, but because I sometimes have to go to different schools in the same day. But it was a fun and easy English teaching class, and the money was decent too, so I'd give it 7 stars. Another job that I liked was ALT. I did ALT twice. One of the ALT positions was in a small town in Chiba. It was only 4 days a week. It paid pretty decent. The teachers that I worked with were nice. The schools were nice. I got to kind of see how junior high school and elementary school life in Japan is, with the school lunches and the cleaning time and all the assemblies and all that kind of stuff. So I really liked that job. And also, since I was an assistant language teacher, there was very little pressure. So I would give that also, I would give that a 7.5. Hey guys, I actually forgot one job that actually was the longest job that I ever had. I forgot to mention it. It is the CN Tower. For those of you who live in Canada or Toronto, you know what I'm talking about. It's the tallest tower in Canada. CN Tower, I worked there for I think 6 years, and I would give it 8 8.5 stars, just because it was such a fun job. I got to meet a lot of famous celebrities, lots of cool people. My coworkers were all awesome. The job was a mixture. I started off as an elevator boy, then I moved on to ticket sales, attractions, then I got promoted to concierge and front desk, and pretty much my career there was all good. And it was like shift work, but and a lot of standing, not really desk work or anything, but it was just moving around and having fun, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm gonna give that 8.5. Now I think one of the highest scores I'm gonna give today is when I was an ALT in Hokkaido. I think I'm gonna give that 9 stars. Only because it was through the JET program. They're very good program. They're like connected with the government. They take care of you. They help me with the flight. They got me into the small town, and then the small town itself, I was in Hokkaido, so it was kind of a completely different atmosphere than what I was used to when I used to live in Nagoya. And just country life there was great. The schools were amazing. I met a lot of good people there. Not only were the teachers nice, the students were nice, and then the people in town or the community were very good. That's where I met my my band where I performed with in Japan, and it was just like the best time pretty much in my life. So I have to give that 9 stars. But then when I had to leave Hokkaido, I moved to Chiba, and before I could find another ALT job or something I liked, I decided to go back to the kindergarten job that I had been doing in Nagoya, but just the branch in Chiba. It was still traveling around the kindergartens all over the place and teaching English to little kindergarten kids. And it was still kind of fun, but the company had changed. They'd become a lot stricter. The rules they had didn't make sense. Their curriculum was not very good, and a lot of schools were complaining about the quality of the teachers and the quality of the program, because they were also paying a lot less than what I was getting paid before. So I'm gonna give that same company the second time around 5 stars. And my first job ever in Japan I had was working for Eon Kaiwa. I've actually made a video about Eon, like what it was like or why I left Eon. You can watch that. I will link it in the information section. But like, I would give that 8 stars. Same thing, similar to Jet. What I liked about Eon was, from Canada, they prepared me. It was my first time ever in Japan, so they had an orientation. They helped me with the flight. They actually subsidized apartments once I got to Nagoya. The manager picked me up from the airport. They gave me like a week's supply of like groceries, and they gave me a furnished apartment. So everything was kind of set up for me. And then the training for Eon was really good. It was like 2 weeks, very intensive. For someone who's never taught English ever and never been to Japan, it was really needed. And then even the job, it was kind of like easy, like step-by-step formulaic English teaching. So it was perfect for me because I'd never been a teacher. I didn't know how to teach English. So it was very step-by-step, and I just had to follow the formula. And so even though they overworked us and a little bit underpaid us, overall I was happy with the support they gave us. So I'm going to give that 8 out of 10. Okay, and then now this is pretty much coming back from Japan and being in Canada for the last few years, not including that Verizon, which was really garbage. The reason I left Verizon was to work for American Express, the credit card company. And once again, the audience was American people, so I was dealing with American customers. So it was really tough job. I'm not gonna lie, it was really very, very call center-ish. It was very, very heavy on timing. Everything was time your breaks and toilet breaks and lunch breaks and like every minute off the phone. And then they had different kinds of statistics that you had to meet, and it was very strict, and the actual rules and the training was long, which was good. It was very intense training. They taught us a lot, so that was good, but it was really tough. It was hard, and especially the customers were not friendly at all because it's all about money. So it was a tough job. But I did it. I think I did it for 7-8 months, and I would give it maybe 6.5 stars, only because even though it was pretty good, it was just really stressful, and they weren't very flexible. So because my dad had dementia, he was starting to get medical issues, I was only given 2 weeks of vacation, which I was taking a day at a time whenever I had to help him, and I ran out, and then they wouldn't renew it, and I pretty much it was even hard to take unpaid leaves of absences. So I decided I might as well just quit, and I did. Luckily, another friend of mine who was working at a company that does MRI scans, he helped me, and they were actually looking for people there. It was another call center job, so I just kept jumping from call center to call center. So I joined that company. It was a perfect timing. The good thing was it was a 2-week training in Vancouver, so I got to go to Vancouver. They paid for the flight, the hotel, and the training, the food, everything. So it was a really kind of mini vacation along with training. The company was actually a startup company. It was really good. The people were friendly. My job was actually not that hard. It was just helping to book and cancel and reschedule and that kind of stuff, kind of like what you would do at like a front desk of like a clinic, but over the phone for all of most of the people are in America. There are some clinics in Canada as well. It was very little stress, and I probably would have stayed there longer, but I actually got a job that I had applied for like a long time ago, and it took like I think 3 years for them to get back to me. It was for the government. And then that leads me to the final and current job that I'm at. I'm working for Canada. I'm working for the government of Canada. It is another phone center job. It is a nice job. It's a very, not easy, it's very difficult actually, but it's very fulfilling. The people I talk to are all Canadian for once. Everyone's pretty polite. I hardly ever get any kind of like angry or rude people. A lot of it is helping Canadians who are, you know, in troubled times. I enjoy the job. The people around me are great. My manager is great. Like I said, I get benefits. The pay is a little bit higher, and a pension, all that stuff. So far so good. Will I stay there forever? I mean, I'd like to, possibly. I'd like to move up. I'd like to get off the phones, because that's been one of the things I've been doing pretty much my entire life, is those call center jobs. So I'd like to be off the phone. So there you go. Those are all the jobs I've had, from pretty much worst to best. Some were really bad, some were decent, some were actually pretty good. But all of them taught me something. Even the poop story one, especially the poop story one. Each of those jobs kind of shaped me, shaped my personality, shaped my preferences, kind of helped me decide what I do like and what I don't like, and what I'm good at, what I'm not good at. And now I'm starting to focus on what I'm truly passionate about. What is it? I think I'll have to reveal that in the next video. In my next video, I want to kind of talk about my new focus, my kind of new goals for the future, and what I'm planning to do next in my career. But that's the end of this video. So if you liked it, definitely give me a thumbs up, comment, tell me what your best or worst job was. And also subscribe so you don't miss the next video that's coming up. Take care and see you next time. Peace.